Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Stand-Up Sit Down. Today, I have the hilarious King of Detroit, Mr. Clayton Thomas. Stay tuned.
You are now tuned in to Black Hollywood Live. Stand up, sit down.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah. Seventh grade. Oh my God. I wish we were recording that. So real quick, the reason why I'm sweating right now is because of this song, because this is a Kanye West song, Kanye West Power, and I was telling Clayton that before I saw the video, which is like a weird visual, but I imagined like a choir of 7th graders, right? They're all clapping, right? And then like right when Kanye starts rapping, he just busts through the middle of the choir, just knocking kids over, hops on the stage and just starts rapping. I think that would have been hilarious, but you know, parents would have gotten mad, he would have gotten fined, you know, he would have been like a child predator now. Like it would have gotten so, you know. But how you doing, Clayton?
I am amazing, man. First of all, anytime you involve a scenario where kids are getting knocked down by a rapper, it's ridiculous. I'm good, Nick Perdue. How's everything, man?
I can't complain, man.
That's always good.
You know, there's a lot going on, and I'm excited about it. You're
As you
here.
should be.
You're back, man.
Back. This is part two. How many part twos have you had?
You are the second one. Tony Baker was the
What?
first, and you are the second, so you're in
Nice.
great company.
Love it. Love Tony Baker.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, all right. So
Talk to me, man.
For those of you who do not know who this man is, Clayton Thomas. I mean, I don't want to rattle off his accolades or whatever.
I mean, we don't have enough time. Boom, boom. I'm joking. I am so joking and just.
But Clayton is a guy who is always working. Like here's one of the things. Just because, you know, when I first saw you, when I first met you, you know, and I think I talked about this prior or on our last interview, which was like 3 years ago. You are a part of that class that when I first started doing comedy, I was like, yo, like these guys are like the next ones to burst. So it was you, Justin Hires, London Brown, DC Irvin, Tony Baker, and you know, like now those names are on television.
Man, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like this was literally like 3 years ago, and and you can go back to that interview because I believe I said on the interview, but I was like, you guys are like that next class, like that next, just ready to burst and ready to pop, and you know, fast forward now, BounceTV, you know, Family Time season 4, you got your own spinoff. Talk about it.
I can't go into a lot of details about it other than saying we have shot the pilot.
Nice.
And it's hilarious. I have Angie Stone plays my mother.
Oh, wow.
Chico Beneman from Half and Half, movie after movie. The group Trey Knox with Will Smith. He plays my best friend. Good buddy of mine, Tahir Moore, who's on HBO's Insecure. He's on my show. Doughboy, All Def Digital, from Wildin' Out. He's on the show. We got Superfly from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, which is Antonio Fargas.
Wow.
He's on the show. Like, it's a long list of people that are on this show, man. It's amazing. It's such a blessing, man. Everything that's been going on, I could not have planned it, but I am grateful and appreciative for every moment of it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you know. And also those names, Justin, the Londons, all these guys, they're doing amazing, and it's such an honor to be spoken in that company. You know what I mean? I'm so happy for all these guys. Those guys that you name, all of us, I think, from when I got to town, it was one of those things where we were like, yo, we want it. We hungry, let's go. We weren't taking the back seat. Like, yeah, you know, just wait a couple years. We were like, yeah, we got to figure out a way for us to get it on our own. And, you know, it's a lot of positive energy with all these guys. London is on Ballers, killing it. This guy has always been really, really talented, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, again, like it's just watching the growth. If that's not inspirational enough, like it's and because like this is what's crazy, because like people, you know, they look at people on TV, they look at people, you know, like who are killing it in stand-up, touring, this and that, yada yada. They're like, man, like they're so far, but like I can touch. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how close.
Yeah.
You know, but like that also goes for like a lot of other people too, though. I mean, like these are regular guys.
Regular
you know what I'm
cats.
saying? Like at the end of the day, like if I text you, you'll wait a minute, but you'll text me back.
Don't you dare. I am the fastest text responder in the world. I will give you this, Nick Perdue. Nick Perdue, for those of you guys who don't know, Nick Perdue is somebody that is a man of his word, and he's always down to kick it when he's not busy. I've had you at the house a couple of times on short notice, been like, hey, we over here at the house. You're like, all right, I'll come. And he comes, and it's like, oh, perfect, Nick is here. Like, it's that. Like, I respond fast. I'll tell you what you don't do. Your text response game ain't the best.
Oh, it's terrible.
Man.
Oh, no, it's
hey,
terrible.
Yo, I've had to hit you with the question marks a couple times. Hey, yo, Nick, we doing this.
No, see, okay, all right. First of all,
Give it to me.
With this eyelash in my eye. Jesus, oh my goodness, this is the worst right now.
You know you can pluck it. Just
no, it's like on my eyeball right now. Yeah, so that's why it's gonna be watery city for a second.
Gotcha.
Anytime someone texts me, unless the phone is physically in my hand, then I'm gonna respond to you quickly. If it's not physically in my hand, then it's gonna be a minute. And I put this is what I do. I put my phone down a lot and I'll walk away from it. You know what I mean? And then like I'll go out like, oh shit, and then I gotta go back. And then I'll like start something, but then I'll hop on something else. And then I think that I hit send. And then I'll look back and I'm like, how come so-and-so didn't text me back yet? Then I'll go back to the text and I'm like, oh snap, I didn't send it. So that's what happens. I would say 6 out of 10 times that generally happens.
I'm gonna give you this. First of all, my phone is always near me. If I don't respond to you within 20 minutes, I am purposely not responding to you for a while because I'm looking at my phone. It's here.
Right.
I'm on Instagram scrolling. I'm on Facebook, whatever the case may be. But it's like, and I'm more of a texter than a talker. If somebody calls me when I'm texting them, expect that voicemail because I'm not trying to talk. Because when people want to talk on the phone, they're just talking. They're just like, yeah, right. So, I don't know if you, man, you ever see that? Hey, would y'all sit down? Sit down over there. Anyway, man, what was I saying? Like, I ain't got time for that. Just text me what you want to talk about, and we'll have a conversation there.
I get that.
I'm an in-person talker. I love talking in person.
Right.
But talking physically on the phone, what am I getting out of that? I'm trying to watch Netflix, Hulu.
See?
Come on, man.
See? But, but don't send me a bunch of little messages that could have been in one message.
I'll give you that. Like, don't hit me with, hey, you up? Hey, you want to go to this thing tonight? Hey, also, later on, it's like, just send it as one big thing. Yeah. Let me read it. I got you. I agree with you there.
But I get why people do that with me, so I'll respond back to them because they'll be like, hey, Nick. Oh, okay, you want to da-da-da, and then it'll be like 6 messages. I'm like, oh, okay, let me probably.
No, because you know why I can't do that? Because a lot of people only respond to what they want to respond to. So if I send you 6 messages and you only answer 2 questions, now you're making me pick the phone up. And this is also going out of what I'm trying to do. So now we've turned this into a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm just going to go into the interview now. Where did, because we were actually talking about this outside as well.
Yeah.
But where did your love of comics come from?
Here's the funny thing, man. First, even with that, I am actually, by a friend of mine, Jeru Tillman, gave me this idea. I need to start doing my own opinion-based show, like, vlogs about these types, because I'm in these conversations all the time.
Right.
My love for not even so much just comic books, but for the nerd community, which involves the cartoons, the films, just every type of folklore like that, came from when I was a child. And it started with Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, to me, as many other superhero commodities and names to other children, came about when, because you're a 90s kid.
Yep.
Power Rangers didn't just teach us, oh, you could be a superhero. Power Rangers talked about a specific number of values and morals that you should have. Hey, always work on a team. Don't bully people. Don't do drugs. Make sure you're kind and polite to people. Right. Go to sleep. Make sure you eat a breakfast that's balanced, like all of that type of stuff. And I started to fall in love with escaping to a reality that for me wasn't the hood in Detroit. And I'm not from the hood. I was living in the suburbs that turned hood. Oh, wow. My mama moved us. We went to live in the suburbs again. Then we moved back to okay area, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it was like escaping the reality that was, yeah, man, I'm tired of all of these and that, like all of these ebonics and everybody's robbing and shooting each other. It's like I wanted to picture a world where I had powers, or like everybody else who feels like they are more than what they are. So it's like my love came from just escapism, man, and just wanting to be in those worlds. I wanted to be Meteor Man. I wanted to be the Black Ranger. I wanted to be Superman and Batman. And I started learning about it when I watched these television shows, all the animated series, you know, Spider-Man, a little bit of X-Men, but like I watched all this stuff and I fell in love. And before you knew it, I started knowing a lot. Like I'm a DC guy, so I know a lot about a few characters in the DC universe. Marvel is, I know Spider-Man, I know a little bit about Daredevil, but I'm not the, oh, well, you know, in chapter 5 of series 3, it's like I'm not that guy. But it's just, I love having these conversations and debates about where these movies and shows might have went wrong, because it's like, I know this stuff. I know as a fan what I want. So it's like the love has always been there since about age 7.
So, but would you write a movie if you were given the opportunity to scribe one of these comic book movies? Would you do it? Or are you like, I don't want to, you know, you don't want to taint it?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. One, if you take on a known comic book property already, get ready for the hate until it's golden. Right. Like we were just talking outside, and they were like, yeah, Fight Club, the book was great, and everybody gave the director just this horrible time, and then the movie came out, and it was like, oh, he's God. You know what I mean? So for me, I wouldn't want to pin an existing comic book story. I would want to create a brand new situation, like you know, a hero that you create out of a brain trust with your boys or whatever, and then put that to the screen. But it's like, to take on the only properties that I want to see that haven't been on the screen yet: Static Shock, Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, and I would be interested in seeing follow me, I know this is gonna sound crazy, I would love to see a Teen Titans live action film. Okay. Yeah, but those are the type, like I have no problem being a writer on one of them, but I don't want to be the guy that all the weight falls on the shoulder. Like I want to be, you got to sit after the credits to see my name as one of the writers. That's what I want to be. I don't want all the pressure. Okay. Yeah.
And so, because recently you were at ComicCon.
Yes, sir.
Right? And you sat on this panel. It was a comics on comics panel. So how did you get invited to that? Like, and what was that whole process like?
Well, first, shout out to Vito Lapicola, my man, Mary Young, Lawrence Young, and Juan Robos. Here's the thing. They had a show, a podcast, and they still do. It's called Comics on Comics, where the greatest minds in comedy meet the greatest mind in comics. And you guys have these debates about popular movies. And Rocha, sorry, I said Robles. He's going to kill me. Anyway, Juan. I always call you Juan. I never call you your last name. So anyway, we have these conversations. And I was invited about 3 years ago to their show. It might have been around the time that I did Black Hollywood Live the first time. And just meeting these guys, it was so cool. And then they said, hey, you know, I don't know if you're going to Comic-Con, but we're doing a live podcast in front of the audience there. Would you be interested in coming? You know, we love you. You're funny. You're a nice guy. And I said, listen, man, you have no idea. That's actually been my greatest hope, was to be on a panel at Comic-Con. Because, you know, my wife and I go every year and we see these panels. And a lot of times, just to describe what Comic-Con is for people who don't go to Comic-Con, or any convention for that matter, you have panels. You have exactly what Nick and I are doing right now in front of an audience, and you guys debate these topics, and it might be funny, it might be serious, it might be informative, and a lot of times you have a moderator who introduces us. So they'll say, hey, I am Chair Johnson, and I want to introduce Nick Perdue and Clayton Thomas. Are there any questions from the audience? And it's like, sometimes the moderators are so dry. And I'm like, man, I want to be up there and give the audience the energy that they deserve. I want to give the guests on the panel the same respect that we as an audience have for them. And sometimes the moderator doesn't even know what he's introducing. He's just there for the check or whatever. And I'm like, I want to be on a panel, man. And I just kept putting that into the universe. And after doing their podcast, they invited me, and I was like, yo, I would love it. So I went, and the first room was about 400 people in this nice, you know, ballroom. We get into it. It was Juan, Vito, myself, a few other different comedians and comic book artists. So it was about 7 of us. And we tore that place down, dude. And from that point, they continued to invite me back to do the live panels as well as their show. They do their show at the Hollywood Improv. They record it live if you're ever in LA and want to catch it. It's amazing. And so that's how I got plugged into it, and it just became a normal thing. You know what I mean? Like, when you make a good impression on people, a lot of times they like to have you back. And I've been lucky and blessed enough to be able to be a part of that, man. But Comics on Comics is amazing. I literally light up every time I think about it. Man, that show is incredible. Juan is going to kill me. Juan Rocha. I'm sorry, Juan.
Well, yeah.
I'm not invited to any more Comic-Con.
No,
that
it.
just done it right now.
You are blackballed
I am
for
out of
good. It's all right. So, a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
Since we've last spoken.
Yeah, changed some clothes sizes as well. Yeah. I had a big hoodie when we did it. I was looking at the interview like, yeah, I know that hoodie gonna look good. Man, that hoodie looked so cheap on me, and then I looked and it was like super puffy and baggy, and my face was hella puffy. I was like, man, I gotta go back. I need to.
But here's the thing. It's growth. Like it's and that's what's nice too, is because you look back and you'll be able to look back on that one like years from now and be like, what the hell was I doing? Great conversation.
Oh, amazing.
The
conversation was the best. I couldn't have asked for a better.
You should just listen to the iTunes version as opposed
yeah,
as opposed to watching the actual the video is great. But you may hear another voice in the room. So, like I said, things have changed.
Things have changed
since the last time we sat down and spoke. Now, you two were together then, but now you have that piece of hardware.
What are you talking about, the phone?
I'm not talking about that piece of hardware on your.
Are you talking about the cup? Or are you talking about this? No, I'm not even doing it. First of all, it's just a watch. I love my watch. I'm covering it because I'm now self-conscious about. Not everybody who's watching the video is gonna say, "Oh man, hold on, pause it 1 second. Let me see what that watch is." Yeah, let me turn my arm. Anyway, yeah, things have grown and changed in our lives. Both of us, man, you are doing the thing right now. Well, I know we're not here to talk about Nick when Nick is super humble and never wants to talk about himself, but everything is growing, man. It's like, I think about that interview, which, honest to God, was probably the best interview I've ever done. Like, my favorite time doing an interview, because it was like, it's family, man. Like, you're literally my friend outside of this room.
Right. And
it was fun, and we just had a conversation, stuff that we could talk about on a regular basis.
Right.
And to go from that interview to doing what I'm doing now and what you're doing now, and to continue to elevate and cultivate our talents and our careers, is something that I am so grateful to be able to do. Like, I'll tell you something small. On my Facebook page, I love Facebook, and my Instagram page is completely different than I love Twitter or Periscope or whatever. When I'm on Facebook, man, my goal is to say the things that I'm thinking. It might be a positive message. It might be words of positive affirmations. It might be tough love. And a lot of that is for myself. I write a lot of different posts, and people have texted me and called me and left me messages and saying how much they appreciate what I've said that has maybe changed their day or made them think differently. And like, I value that, because I'm writing it for myself. Maybe one day I am super depressed, or I'm mad about where my career is or where I should be, or you know how we all have those things. And I'll write a post and say, don't be mad at where you are. Plan a better route to where you want to be. And that's something that I need to read myself, and it'll get hundreds of likes, and somebody's like, yeah, thanks. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. You know what I mean?
You're welcome, brother.
You're welcome, man. So, it's just about positivity, man. So as comics, we're the angriest people and the most unhappy people in this business. And we don't have to be, man. I know a lot of our power, so to speak, derived from pain and our insecurities, but what if they didn't?
Right.
You know what I mean? What if we harness the positivity and the great energy in ourselves to make ourselves better and happy for others?
Right.
Just to where you continue to put that in the universe and you continue to grow yourself. Like, I don't get any, if you get $1 million right now, I don't get anything off of that aside from me being happy for you. Yeah. Then I'm like, you know what? If he got $1 million, I know a check is coming my way, because I know this dude. I know his work ethic. I work hard. Something has to be around the corner for me. If it's not $1 million, it might be an opportunity to make $1 million, or it might be an opportunity to create something that's going to earn me $1 million, whatever the case. So, yeah.
So now how has all of this, like, how is since your life has changed now and it's ever evolving, how has this affected the way that you write and create jokes? You know, so when you're on stage, because, like, you know, I went to a show that you did recently, and it's different. Like, you've evolved as a stand-up, which is a great thing, you know, because you were a beast then, but now it's like you're a more calculated beast, if that makes sense.
Well, first, thank you for the compliment, man. I take no stand-up compliments lightly, because, you know, when you get a compliment as a comedian, the compliments are typically, "Oh man, you know, you're funny. Oh, that was a great set," which is like, you don't know how to take it. Was it a great set of jokes? Was it a great performance? What are you saying?
Right.
For me, writing now has become my living room, and what I mean is, when I'm on stage, I want the performance for the audience to feel like it's just for them tonight. Even if you've heard me do one or two of the jokes before, if you feel this entire performance was just for this room tonight, that's the goal. So it's like a level of comfort for me. I'm talking about my wife. I'm talking about my family. I'm talking about the experiences that happen to me on a regular basis. The most thing that I usually talk about are things that annoy me. Because if you know me, you know there are a million things that annoy me. So it's more of those things, as opposed to, I think when you start comedy, you're saying the things that you think the audience wants to hear. So you're like, yeah, you know, they want to hear me talk about how many times I had sex. Yeah, they want to hear me talk about if I love older women. They want to hear me talk about, you know, like if somebody smokes weed or if they drink, like they talk about those things. And for me, I want people to take me home with them. I want them to feel comfortable enough that after I come off stage, they feel like they know me. And the only way they're gonna do that is if I give you an insight to my personality, to how I think, my family, my friends, whatever I tell you, you know, my personal tragedies are, to make you feel comfortable, because you can 9 out of 10 times relate to that. And if you can't relate to that, then what am I up there for? I'm not up there to tell jokes about, yeah, man, you ever see somebody sagging? It's stupid, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to take the fact that I'm married and I love my wife, but these girls ain't making it easy on her. You know what I mean? I want people to know my wife is gorgeous, and she stays that way because she's like, nah, this is a competition out here. These chicks is trying to get what is, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I talk about all of that. My wife is amazing, and she helps me continue to be creative, man, because half the stuff I say on stage, believe it or not, no matter how fucked up it is, sometimes I've said it to her and she's like, that's funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not me saying, like, I have this and I shouldn't even say this on YouTube, or I couldn't even say this on the website. I don't even know where this is going, but let me just tell you. One of the things that I say about my wife is, I'm like, you know, married people understand the differences in things. Like, we understand, you know, love changes, looks change, but your wife is always happy. And how do I forget how I even set the joke up. Oh, I say, has your spouse ever been in so great of a mood that them being in a good mood fucks your mood up? So my wife will wake up and like, good morning, my king. I'm like, why the fuck is she still alive? Like, that type of thing is something that I've said to her, and she's laughed and said, say that on stage. And I'm like, I think they're going to hate me if I say that. And she's like, say it. And then I say it, and it's a roar every time. Right. Because there are people who are in relationships, people who are married, been together forever, that relate to that. And the only reason you can laugh is because you love your spouse. And it's like, there are some days you don't feel like being in love because they're in love. And you're like, oh, this is my baby. Come here and give me this love. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, whatever you, as a comedian, feel that you should talk about should always be from your perspective. I hear so many comedians talk about, yeah, man, this comedian out there, he be stealing jokes, or they did my joke. And you hear what the joke is, and it's a joke about Obama having black lips. And like, yeah, he smoked weed. See, I'm the only one to say Obama smoked weed and he got black lips. Like, that's not a creative bit. Like, why are you angry this person touched on something that was just as non-creative as that you said? So you can't be angry at that, but you can be angry is if somebody did your exact joke. Like, if a single guy got up there and be like, yeah, man, don't you hate when your spouse is in a good mood and that mess your mood up? You're like, you've been single for 20 years. That makes no sense. You got that from me. And even then, if a comedian steals your bit, write another one. Yeah. Especially if you got it online or you got it on television, people are going to know you for that, because that's the only way you can trademark your stuff as a comedian. Right. So write something else. It's not that serious for you to want to fight somebody over a joke.
Right.
Or, it's just...
Well, and like that's my whole take too on joke thieves, because I mean, like at the end of the day, my mind works in such a way that where I'm like, okay, like I may use this joke a year and then I'm just gonna stop using it just because there's other stuff that I want to get out. There's other stuff that I want to talk about that I need to talk about.
And stuff is gonna happen in your life in that year that you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I got that joke about. I forgot about that.
Right.
You got some stuff. I've written jokes down just so I remember them, because I've been doing comedy almost 12 years. So it's like there are jokes that I'm like, oh yeah, like somebody I haven't seen in years be like, why don't you do that joke no more? And I'm like, I could do that joke. I forgot about it. But if you write it down, then you'll remember. But we talk so much on stage, it's like I've forgotten everything unless you tell me or remind me something I did that you might have liked.
Yeah. And if someone's gonna steal something, all right, cool, steal it, take it.
If I've done a joke good, don't take everything. I mean, people trying to do specials, don't take the whole hour. Right. But if I've done a great enough job performing that joke, somebody else is going to tell you before I have to tell you. Yeah. Hey, this sound like a CT joke that you did. No, we was writing together and I gave him a tag. That's
Right. I mean, it's a slippery slope, especially now with the internet and these internet comics, and you have these different apps and the Vines and the Snapchats and the Instagram video, whatever. So that is a totally different thing, though. I feel, because it's like if you have something that you've crafted and you've worked on stage and you've gotten it tight to the point where you're like, all right, this is a fire joke, and then someone pulls that, puts that online, then makes some money off of it.
Well, here's the thing. I've had this scenario of somebody taking a joke of mine that I do on stage and making a sketch out of it. And I've also had the situation where I've made a sketch and someone did the exact same sketch. But here's the difference. A lot of people who are on the internet, and I give props to anybody on the internet doing something funny or doing something creative, but they don't know the channels. Right. Meaning, we learn certain things in comedy that, hey, it's not okay to steal. Don't do such and such a joke. Write your own stuff. When you just have your phone, nobody's telling you the rules. Right. So if you are, let's say, 18, 19 years old, even 25 or whatever, and you see something funny, your mind is going to say, oh, I should shoot that. And you wouldn't think there's anything wrong with that because nobody's told you. Right. So some of it is, ignorance is bliss. So some of it is just like innocence. They don't know. And then the scenario where somebody I had done my own web series a couple years ago called The Misadventures of Clayton Thomas. And it was pretty much me going through all of these different disastrous dating scenarios before I met my lady. Anyway, and this guy had reached out to me on Facebook, and he said, hey man, I'm a huge fan of your show. I love those episodes. They're so funny. You've made me want to create my own stuff. I said, hey man, I'm glad that I could help. Do your thing and show me when you're done. You know what I mean? Since I've been an influence. He's
I already know where this is going.
God bless his heart, man. He sent me 2 episodes of what he had done. Okay. And it was called, I'm not gonna say his name, but it was called The Misadventures of with his name, right? Okay. And the first episode was the exact episode that I had shot. Wow. And he'd done all my punchlines. Oh, okay. So everything that I said, he said in the punchlines. And I was like, okay. And I'm sitting there, and there are 2 ways you can handle it. You could either A, cuss this dude out. Hey man, what you doing? You stealing my stuff. Da, 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 da. And that discourages this dude. Or you could explain to him and tell him why that's not okay and help him further along. So I say, hey man, you did a great job doing something of your own as far as getting your production started, doing all of that. But that's my exact episode that, that you just told me that you liked. And I know you appreciate it, but you kind of want to steer away from doing what somebody else had done. Like create your own idea with your own title of your show and your own ideas for an episode and show how funny you are. Right. Like, you don't want to copy anybody. But I hope I'm not discouraging you, man. And, it takes a lot to shoot your own stuff. And his response was, wow, I didn't even think about that. I'm sorry. I would never try and disrespect you on purpose, man. I'm going to take that down. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to shoot something else. And I was like, cool. Let me know how that goes. So I'm randomly going through my Facebook messages like 3 months after that, and you see something that says user, and I was like, user? What is this user? I go to the message and saw our exchange and realized he had blocked me. And I was like, he blocked me? But he stole my stuff, right?
Right.
Fast forward until a month ago. This was something that literally happened 6 years ago.
Wow.
A month ago, I get a message from him, and he's like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember me, but, I've been doing my thing. I'm doing movies now, and I would love to work with you one day, dude. And I was like, hey, man, I'm glad everything's working out for you. And then I had to think to myself, I ain't telling him no movie ideas. All right, cool. Right. But, he's doing his thing. He's got his own company, and he's producing in the Midwest. So that's huge. But it's not our place to immediately jump the gun and react and be angry when you can educate. Now, it'd be a different thing if you say to somebody, hey, you kind of touched on what I do. You might want to create something of your own. And then they're like, hey, man, fuck you. Then you're like, all right, now I can go in. Right. But, you don't need to start off with discouraging somebody because, unless somebody discourages you, why continue to pass that on?
Right. Right. And I feel at the end of the day, too, it's like people will watch it and they'll go, okay, well, he put this out.
Yeah.
And then, a couple weeks later, you put this out. It's the same exact thing.
Or, sometimes we never know what will make it in this business, meaning the fear of the comedian has always been, if this person tells my joke and blows up with it, now I'm stuck and this person is winning with my material.
Right.
If somebody's going to blow up, they're going to blow up.
Right.
You can't stop it. Whether they steal your material or they don't steal your material, if they're going to blow, they're going to blow. If they're younger than you, they look better than you, more marketable, whatever the case, that's what's going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So you can't live in a state of fear of creating.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So, and if they do blow up with your joke, know that you got the date to prove that you did your joke first. If you're not willing to write a new joke.
Right.
There's always ways around.
But then there's also if they do blow up with your joke off of just stolen material, then they can't sustain that.
Yeah, you can't copy talent. You can say everything that I ever create, but you don't have the creativity that I had to create it. So you're stuck with that number of material that you've stolen from me.
Exactly.
So it's like, cars are gonna show.
It'll fizzle out.
It'll fizzle
out eventually.
And if it doesn't, what if it doesn't? He's a millionaire for years.
Then you hit him with that.
Hit him with the shank.
Episode of Oz,
Oh man.
No, I don't condone any violence, guys.
Nobody does.
I do not. Real quickly. So because like I've seen interviews and I've heard Steve Harvey say that now that he's a brand and he has there's a lot of stuff attached to him.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to be as free on stage as he used to be, because if he was just a straight stand-up, then he can just go off willy-nilly.
Yeah.
So I say that because you are a brand now. You are a entity. You're a growing empire. And so, are there any jokes that are off limits for you?
If I was 21, I would say absolutely not. Being that I am 30 years old and I have met a lot of people in this city and have worked with a lot and haven't worked with a super long number that I'm going to end up working with. I'm not afraid of anything, but I'm cautious of what I purposely talk about. So, for example, at 21, I met a director and producer by the name of Rusty Cunniff. He did Sprung, Fear of a Black Hat. His resume is long as this building. And I met him. I was on a Jamie Foxx radio show, Foxhole Radio, and he was a guest. And at 21, I was called the young gun. I was known for roasting people, which is just jokingly disrespecting people. That was my thing. You come on the show, I'm tearing you down, right? Ignorance is bliss. I have no reason to do it outside of it being funny, right? Okay. So Rusty comes on this episode and I begin to attack this guy. I started talking about Sprung. I started talking about his career. Jeez. And he's looking at me and he's just like, all right. But I don't know what the all right means.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, what's that about? Fast forward 2 weeks, I had an audition for a sketch show that Jamie Foxx was producing that Rusty kind of was directing. Oh, man. Needless to say, I did not get the show. But I say that to say, I've learned to be funny. I can talk about you right now and make you laugh with me because that's what a true comedian should be able to do. Right. I'm not going to make you feel bad about yourself. I'm going to create humor, and we're both going to enjoy it. Right. Humor is not set up for me to make you feel bad while I gain this adulation from the audience. So who I am today is somebody who takes calculated risks. First and foremost, I only talk about a certain amount of things. I talk about me. I'll talk about my family, my lady, my relationships with people, my stories. I'm not often talking about, I'm not a political comedian. I'm not a topical comedian. I'm talking about the things that have influenced me that you're going to relate to because these are things that we all go through. Yeah. Not during one point of my show am I going to say, y'all drink Pepsi? Well, let me tell y'all something about, you know what I mean? Right. That's not me. And it actually helps because of course, I'm going to be offered a brand endorsement by a Pepsi, by a Nike. So why would I say anything against these brands, or why would I say something to hurt my brand that's going to in turn hurt their brand in doing so? Yeah. So I'm a lot more strategic on jokes that I tell because, first of all, there are comedians who talk about smoking weed and drinking, and not a lot of it. All of it isn't funny, but all of it isn't corny either. Right. But it's like, if I'm going to talk about drugs, that's going to limit me from getting a Disney sponsorship. Not that I'm looking at doing a set specifically to get sponsorship. I'm just doing my set to do my set, but I'm not going to unnecessarily ruffle any feathers either. You know what I mean? So 30-year-old Clayton is completely different than 21-year-old Clayton as far as what he's intentionally talking about. At 21, I was just saying anything to get a laugh. I'm reckless. Cussing people out. I'm saying bitch just because, you know what I mean?
Bitch is a great punch though. Like it's good. It's a great additive to whatever you're, you know what I'm saying?
It's good when I've always found that to be, first of all, I have all sisters. So I heard that all the time growing up, but I never heard it from my sisters to each other in a disrespectful tone. So as a comedian, especially as a male comedian, when you use that word, people can hear if you have malice behind it. Yeah. Like if you're saying it like, yeah, dude, fucking, you know what I mean? Right. They hear it. Or if you're like, yeah, man, I was talking to this, and they hear the difference, even though it doesn't, to a lot of people, a wide audience, they're not going to agree with hearing it at all. Right. But there's always power in how you say something. I can say friend, the word friend, I can say that with love, I can say it with hate, and you're going to hear the difference. If I'm like, yeah, man, that's my friend. If I'm like, yeah, that's my friend, you're like, oh, what was that second one about? You know what I mean? So it's all about context, man. But I definitely pay attention to what I'm saying before I say it a lot of times, as much as I can, because sometimes when you're on that stage, you're so caught in the moment, you saying it, and then you might be like, I'm sorry about that, y'all. I didn't mean like that.
That was a little uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. We all felt it, but I'm gonna move on. You know what I mean?
But now, would you apologize for something, like if, like the Daniel Tosh incident, and you have the Tracy Morgan, to where like
what did Tosh say?
Tosh he had a rape joke. I don't remember like the exact context of it. Hey. But he had to apologize for it. Right. I mean, I don't think he had to, but it was like the right thing for him to do for that thing. I don't believe that comics should apologize, because I feel this is literally the last form of free speech, to where, listen, and my thing is, if it's funny, regardless of the context, if it's funny, then that's your comedic freedom. So if you're saying something super racist but it's funny and I'm laughing, I'm like, all right, that's terrible, but I'm laughing, then hey man, whatever.
Let me hit you with this. Under that same analogy, let's say a white musician is making a song, and you, under that example, this song is knocking. The beat is crazy. The hook is making you out of your mind. And all through the song, he's yelling N-word, 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 N-word. And you're like, man, but that beat. You know what I mean? So would you say, under that, you're saying he shouldn't apologize. So with comedy, I'm going to say, it's a case-by-case basis because there are a lot of comedians who, like I said, it's the way they're delivering it. Is it meant with malice? Is it meant with lightheartedness?
Right.
And then if it's funniness, like, yo, he didn't mean it in a hateful way.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a case-by-case because certain comedians, go back to that, they are sponsored by some brands. They are looked at by a completely different audience than somebody who is just performing at the Crab Shack is looked at. So somebody who's in a Disney movie and he's a comedian isn't going to be able to go on stage and talk about sex for an hour in comparison to a guy who is doing comedy at an open mic in New York in a basement somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a case-by-case basis. I can't say whether I would or wouldn't apologize for something because I am somebody who has always been able to admit when he's wrong. So I haven't had the scenario where I've had to apologize because I've offended someone before, except when I got heckled when I was like 22 and I said something really, really messed up about this guy's mom and he was going to kill me. And I was like, listen, I'm sorry. So that, yeah, but other than that, you know, it's a case by case.
As we wrap up, what is probably the biggest thing that you've learned in your career thus far?
Oh man, that is a loaded question. The biggest thing I've learned from my career thus far: persistence, patience, gratitude. But the biggest, I said the biggest is probably professionalism.
Okay.
You know, and that goes along with integrity, man. Like, if I don't care what you do for a living, once you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say, hey, I call you back in 5 minutes, call back. I don't care if the phone go to voicemail. Make sure it's okay on your end because people pay attention to integrity. So if you don't do what you say you're going to do, nobody's going to ever buy into anything that you do from that point on.
Okay. And you know, we do have, you know, people watching who want to get into the business or want to get into comedy.
Yeah.
What is your biggest piece of advice for brand new people trying to break into the stand-up game, the TV game?
When you want to break into a new business, no matter what you want to break into, number one piece of advice: shut the fuck up. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Listen more than you talk. When you start something, you're not going to know anything. A lot of comedians get in the game and they, you know, they'll go around a group of veteran comedians and they'll hear the veterans talking about, yeah, man, I ripped it tonight, or I bombed. And they'll say, I ain't never bombed. I was doing this one joke about such and such. And it's like, nobody cares. You haven't proved yourself yet. You're not on their level. Do comedy for a number of years. Let them tell you they respect you before you try and fit in. So it's like with any new business, listen more than you talk. Nobody cares about your opinion until you actually have a valid one, and that's only from being tried and true in your success.
Well, there it is.
Hey man, read my Facebook page where I go. No.
Thank you, Clayton. Where can people see you live next?
Next,
or television, or like where can people see you?
Well, if you on Hulu, check out Uncle Buck on ABC. Definitely check that out. I don't know how my residuals work with that, but you can definitely help a brother out the more you watch. But go to my website. You can find all my social media and just keep up with me. I am ClaytonThomas.com. You'll be able to hear all the new news and on my social sites and what's going on with me. Family Time Season 4 comes back October 2016, so check that out. Angel Conwell, Omar Gooden, Tangerine Thomas, helmed by Bentley Kyle Evans, myself, Clayton Thomas. It's an amazing show. You will love it. And shout out to Nick Perdue and Black Hollywood Live for having me back for part 2.
Yeah, man. I just want to thank you for coming. And thank all of you for watching and tuning in. Of course, you can find me all over the internet at the Nick Perdue. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.